Hello guys, today we are going to discuss about a gynecological topic, that is the development of the twins, which means that there are two embryos that are developing together or simultaneously at the same time. But when there is a normal pregnancy, there is only a single embryo that is developing in the uterus. The development of twins can take place in two ways, that is the fraternal way and the identical way. What is the difference between both of them is the fraternal is the dizygotic while the identical is the monozygotic. The dizygote has two zygotes. In this, there are two eggs which are fertilized by two different sperms. While in identical or monozygotic, there is only a single zygote which get differentiated into two cells. As the fraternal one is both a different zygote and different eggs, therefore they are separate genetic makeups. That is, the siblings don't look mostly alike. While in identical, the siblings mostly look alike as because there is the same egg which is fertilized by a single sperm. Let's discuss more about the fraternal twinning. Fraternal twinning is very rare, that is, only 10 out of 1000 gets the fraternal twinning cases. What happens in this is the ovaries release two eggs together at the same time. The release of two eggs at the same time is known as the fraternal twinning. But why does this take place? Because of hyperovulation. When the ovulation increases, there will be release of two eggs from the ovaries. And the hyperovulation is caused because of the increased production of the follicle stimulating hormone. The follicle stimulating hormone leads to the hyperovulation, due to which the hyperovulation causes the release of two eggs from the ovaries at the same time. Then what are the characters of the mother who usually carry the fraternal twinning? The characters of the mother is taller and heavier, shorter and frequent menstrual cycle, and more likely the age is 35 years, more than 35 years. Those who carry pregnancy after 35 years have more chances of having fraternal twinning because of the increased production of the FSH and the hyperovulation. Then the identical twinning. The identical twinning is more rare than the fraternal twinning, that is only 4 out of 1000 have the cases of identical twinning. What happens in identical twinning is a single zygote, it gets separated into two embryos. There's only a single zygote, it gets separated into two embryos. And it takes place from the first 13 days of development, that is after fertilization. The first 13 days is responsible for the identical twinning. The identical DNA are mostly the same DNA. That's why their siblings have almost same sex, or like the hairs are alike, the eye color are alike, or the blood type are alike. They have the identical DNA. That's why any of these can be alike among the siblings. When it comes to the normal development, what happens is the embryo goes into the amniotic sac, where it gets the nutrients and the gases from the umbilical cord and the placenta. This happens when there is only one embryo. But when it comes to twins, when there are two embryos, it is not the same case, because they don't get two separate amniotic sac. They have the same amniotic sac which they have to share. So there comes blastocyst. What is blastocyst? A single ball of cells. This is blastocyst. The blastocyst has an outer layering which is called trophoblast and an inner layering which is called embryoblast. In identical twinning, what happens is after 7 to 8 days of fertilization, the outer layer that is called the trophoblast gets divided into cytotrophoblast and syncytiotrophoblast. After 7 to 8 days of fertilization, this happens. So if the splitting of the embryos, here as we have seen, there is only a single zygote. Here we can see only a single zygote. It gets divided into two embryos. So here are the three different cases which may occur in identical twinning. The first one is if the split occurs of within 2 to 3 days, then it is known as the dichorionic diamniotic. Dichorionic diamniotic. What is dichorionic diamniotic? That is, both the embryos will have separate placenta and separate sac. But there are two more cases which we can find, that is, if the split occurs within 3 to 8 days. As we have seen, the identical twinning occurs within the first 13 days. So there are three possible cases within the 13 days. The first one is within the 2 to 3 days. The second is within the 3 to 8 days. And third is the 8 to 13 days. So when there is 3 to 8 days, it is known as the monochorionic diamniotic. What happens in monochorionic diamniotic is there is only a single placenta which both the embryos have to share, but there is separate sac for both the embryos. This is because there is diamniotic. The name itself says that there will be two amniotic sacs present. But if the splitting occurs within 8 to 13 days, it is known as the monochorionic monoamniotic. That is, single placenta with single amniotic sac. There will be more sharing within the embryos because both the placenta and the amniotic sac are only one. So these were the three cases of the identical twinning. And we also learned about the fraternal twinning. These are the two different types of development of twins. I hope it helped you to learn. Thank you.